professional. Actually, I had to search deep into the closet to find this shirt. And I was really glad I did because it brought back some memories. A few years ago, Jim, Joe, Terry, and my brother-in-law Bill and I went down to Oregon to play golf. And we were silly enough to try to play 2 rounds a day in about 105-degree weather. And it wasn't very long before I just sweated through, well, we all did, sweated through all of our shirts. And in the pro shop, this was there, and Terry said, well, there's a shirt, you should buy that one. That one looked really good. So I bought this shirt and worn it. And I actually brought along another article of clothing that Terry actually gave to me. It was a gift that he got after visiting Siam in Islamabad. He brought it back for me. And as he had wrapped it up and it was given to me, he had that giggle and grin that Terry had. But I didn't know what was coming, but I brought it here today. It was a hat. It was Islamabad. And I have a confession to make, and that's this is the first time I've worn it in public. And I think maybe I should leave it on or take it off. Leave it on. My job isn't to share Terry as my fashion consultant with you today, but rather to try to paint a picture for those of you who didn't know him as an educator, as the man he was as an educator. And for those of you who are here who knew him as an educator, to thank you for all of your words, as we've talked about Terry over years and years and years, and that's gone into helping me try to encapsulate who he was as an educator. I first met Terry on Salt Spring Island. We were both teacher sponsors for a weekend academic symposium that brought students from around our district to explore real-life, real-time issues. And when it comes to education, we still haven't caught up to Terry's time. After just a few short minutes, I became enveloped in his enthusiasm for learning. And we started dreaming of a school that we could design ourselves. And since that time, back then in the mid-'80s, we've discussed every aspect of schooling, education, and leadership. And Terry was a born teacher and a gifted leader. We came close to having our own school. Fortunately, we were able to share it with a number of other very gifted educators, because our time at Princess Margaret was truly golden. Terry was instrumental in influencing a strong group of educators who willingly embraced this philosophy of challenging the status quo. I know there would be consensus from all of us, the people from Princess Margaret and other schools where Terry worked, when I go on to describe the qualities that he appreciated so much. Terry showed unconditional respect and understanding to everyone. That meant listening to students for their deeper needs and then finding a way to support them. Finding a way to support them, even if it meant stretching the rules and sometimes breaking them. We broke them a few times. He had the courage to challenge mediocrity or rigid thinking about problems and then create new options that would help bring a solution to the situation. I have to mention again his willingness to dress vividly and uniquely, to model that's important to be yourself. Terry had a demanding work ethic that had him arriving to work while many of us were still sleeping, and to leave late after many of us had already gone home. Terry had a clear understanding of the importance of transparency between administration and school staff. He was instrumental in creating a culture that would build trust, enthusiasm, and a willingness to take risks. He held strongly to the belief that everyone can learn. He would share that the challenges he faced as a schoolboy, he was running from bullies, I understand now a little bit, gave him the empathy needed to create an encouraging relationship with students. Terry had a way of giving complete attention to whoever knocked on his door. He was never too busy for people. And he never backed away from differing opinions. He embraced them and found ways to demonstrate highest practice without offense. In time, he would either graciously change his thinking if warranted, or win naysayers to a more open-minded than anyone could think possible position. And those of you who are educators can probably think of a few names in there that support that. The empowerment Terry granted to staff was so appreciated. If they could dream it, and it was sound practice, Terry would help make it happen. Terry remained a constant learner. He engaged with others about ideas and new possibilities within schools. His eyes would light up whenever we talked about how we could make school more real for students and how we could push beyond the limits to grant them voice in their own education. For Terry, it was never about his own ego. He truly experienced joy in all of our successes. He never sought fame, he sought authenticity. Terry meant so much to so many, and I will never forget the joy, depth of thought, and stimulation I've experienced knowing him. There are few people we meet with whom we can feel entirely comfortable in being ourselves. And Terry's willingness to be honest about his own fears, frailties, passions, and joys helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin. And for all that he has done for me in that regard, I'll be forever grateful. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Burke Shaw. My wife Trish is Terry's cousin. I've known Terry and Kathy and Slan for many years, but during the first years of our acquaintance, our paths only crossed infrequently. It wasn't until Terry moved, and Kathy moved to Vernon and retired, that I came to realize, and Terry and I found we had shared many mutual interests. For starters, we both loved hockey. Terry had adopted the Vernon Vipers as his own team and had become a devoted fan. I'd followed the Vipers on and off for years, and it wasn't long before we had season tickets together and we were at every game cheering the team on. We also shared a passion for knowledge. We had in-depth discussions on every topic under the sun. Nothing was off limits, and no topic was sacred. We spent countless hours discussing politics, religion, and just about everything else. Terry introduced me to SOL, which is the acronym for the Society for Open Learning and Discussion. And he served it ably as president. And so SOL became a very important part of our friendship. Because of Terry, I made many new friends in that organization. Still another way we connected was Terry's sense of humor. It was often wry or ironic, but always gentle. We shared much pleasure laughing at society's foibles and our own. Terry always started each SOL meeting with a bit of humor, which our members always appreciated. He had a strong dislike of hypocrisy, and he always sought the truth. He wasn't afraid to take a strong stand against deception and falseness. I knew Terry as a man of many talents. He was well-spoken, erudite. He was a loving husband and father. He often spoke with pride about his wife and daughter. He was a very good teacher, a capable administrator, a skilled craftsman, a damn good boat builder, a world traveler, a lover of animals, and above all, he was always a gentleman. Terry was a man who I was a very proud, calm and good friend. We'll all miss him tremendously, and I'm willing to bet that Terry has already organized the first heavenly chapter of the Society for Open Learning and Discussion, and I bet it's on its way to being a rousing success.
Well, I'm Terry's brother-in-law, Brian Blanfield, and I guess I've known Terry for over 46 years, because that's how long we've been married. And he was always John's hero, but he was also his pet's hero. So I come to tell you today about the dog's eulogies to Terry. The first one is a black and white shepherd, Collie Cross. I guess it's black and white Collie Labrador Cross. So this is from Bonnie. You, Terry, were ecstatic when you got me. black and white Collie Labrador cross. You called me Bonnie Blue Bell. But you worried that I would be embarrassed by such a long name. So, you shortened it to Bonnie. I was your first dog, and even got to sleep with you in your bed. I had to fit myself amongst your dirty socks, shorts, and empty fruit jars from your midnight snacks. Fortunately, your mom kept a closed-door policy in our bedroom. I loved it when the family went camping on camping trips to the Shuswap Lake Narrows. I got to swim with you and Joan and hang out with all the family. Also, hiking with David Wise was always an adventure. Remember on our hike to Bridal Veil Falls on Peterson Creek, when you chose to help me up and then went back to rescue David, who was hanging from that feeble root? I enjoyed all the adventures, the bike camping trips into the bush, and even the trip down the mountain where you burned rubber all the way down and I wore out my paws. Probably stressed my heart. Chili. I came 6th in your pet list, or if you ignored Duffy the cat, I was your 5th dog. You picked me up in Vernon and took me down to Maple Ridge, where I enjoyed antagonizing the pit bull that lived across the driveway. It was lucky for me that he was behind a fence, because he wanted to tear me limb from limb. I really enjoyed the move back to Vernon when you retired, and the long walks we both treasured. Just you and me. My insatiable appetite kept getting me into trouble though, like the time I got my head caught in the neighbor's gate while searching for food. The worst time in my life was when we were visiting in Richmond, and I got out of the yard and went on a walkabout. I became very disoriented, and I could not find my way back home. The traffic was so different from what I was used to, and several times I just missed being run over. For 3 long days, I wandered all over looking for you and Kathy. Finally, you found me in a strange backyard. I was terrified and traumatized. I didn't even recognize you. You had to crawl over to me on your stomach, telling me to calm down. I enjoyed all the trips south, which included many long walks and bike rides with you and Kathy. One trip we shared with Uncle Brian and Aunt Joan and their dog, Littlefoot. I am proud to say that I had a very positive influence on Littlefoot's food, comfort, and longevity. They bought her a wonderful bed and fed her a special type of gravy meals just like mine. I also had a lot of fun with my buddy Sasha when we were traveling with Burke and Trish. We caught balls and raced around the play area together until we wore ourselves out. As I aged, you even built me a ramp to help me climb into the back seat of the truck and into the camp. Sky. I am Terry's last dog, a miniature border collie. I cannot understand why my master is gone. We always went for walks together, and I cuddled on his lap. I really miss his gentle ways.